Jelani, you're a black man, I'm a Muslim. When you consider how black criminals and Muslim terrorists are treated, both by the legal system and by the media, and yet the January 6th pipe bomber who laid explosives in front of the RNC and DNC headquarters still walks free. We just learned today that then Vice President-elect Harris was inside the DNC when the bomb was found there. We still don't take domestic terrorism of the far-right white variety seriously in this country, do we?
No, we don't. We've seen this since the Obama administration, where they pointed out that there was this rise of white nationalist terror, and that was promptly squashed and jumped upon by the Republicans in Congress. And so great cries of outrage in response to that. And this has been what we've seen since then, nowhere near the level of alarm that we've had around the, what was the phrase they used, Islamic terror, that they were trying to make Barack Obama say all the time.
Yeah, it's just so depressing, the double standards. I don't know how many times you can draw attention to it. I, as a Muslim, keep drawing attention to it because it kills me.
So that right there was Mehdi Hasan back on his MSNBC days, bringing on a black man and lamenting the fact that the evil white racist, evil bad white man who definitely 100% was white and laid the pipe bomb on January 6th wasn't actually being captured by the FBI, due in large part to the fact that white people get away with everything. Evil white racists are under every rock, and in reality, America is so racist and disgusting, they actually presume and assume that criminals are disproportionately black just because of the statistics, and that Islamic terror is a much bigger problem per capita, again, just based on observable reality and statistics. And Mehdi was absolutely disgusted by it. Of course, he's trying to stir up anti-white sentiment in relation to whoever laid this pipe bomb, but the thing is, we all know as of right now that not only was the suspect that was just arrested not a white guy, he was in fact a black dude, but in addition to that, his father was actually represented by Benjamin Crump, George Floyd's attorney, a top race hustler in the entire country. So you guys all know where this is going. You guys all know what I'm gonna say to this. And the question that I really want to ask you guys out there in the audience is, do I even really need to play the clip? And the answer, of course, is no, I don't, but I will anyway.
We still don't take domestic terrorism of the far-right white variety seriously in this country, do we?
Like, oh, so you said that it was a white guy. What happened?
Yeah, Mehdi, you said it was a white guy. What happened? What happened to that? Where's the apology? And unfortunately, Mehdi Hasan has already blocked me on X.com due to the fact that I pointed out a multitude of his ridiculous and absurd lies, his anti-American attacks and whatnot. So I can't spam this clip to him, but what I'm going to do for you guys out there in the audience is leave the link to the clip that I'm going to be playing throughout the course of this video in order to mock Mehdi Hasan and others, because the fact is, he should not go without being shamed on this, because guess what? This guy was not identified at the time. We had no idea who he was. We had no idea what his politics were, and yet Mehdi Hasan took the opportunity to stir up racial hatred and anti-white sentiment in order to profit, in order to bolster himself, and in order to cover up Islamic terrorism. That's who Mehdi Hasan is, somebody who is invited into this country, granted American citizenship despite the fact that he hates the United States of America, and he uses his time in this nation to do nothing but attack and undermine this nation. And by the way, he's not the only one. We're going to go over another clip from a CNN host after the arrest trying to pin this attack again on white people. But before we get into that, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money, okay?
Ryan Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce and with malicious destruction.
So that was Jake Tapper of CNN identifying the suspect by name. Of course, this was after he was arrested, and making the case that it was a 30-year-old white man that was behind this particular crime. And honestly, when I first saw this clip, I thought it might have been AI generated. I took a little bit of a double take, but it is in fact real, as Anna Kasparian would say.
It's real, guys. It's real.
And once again, there's only one appropriate response to this particular clip, and coincidentally, it is the same response to the Mehdi Hasan clip.
Ryan Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man.
Like, oh, so you said that it was a white guy. What happened?
So it's important for us to point out that right now, at this very moment, Brian Cole Jr. is in fact just the alleged suspect of this particular crime. Even though the FBI seems like they're pretty certain, the fact is it's nearly 5 years later to the date that he's been arrested, as the pipe bomb in question was actually planted on January 5th of 2021. And who the hell knows what the FBI was doing not making an arrest on this individual, considering the fact that they hunted down random trespassers from January 6th across the country, offered bounties, and what was the largest investigation in the history of the Bureau. So yeah, we don't know right now. This could be an instance of false allegations, or as the super mayor would call them, false allegations.
False allegations and not facts.
So as of right now, until we have really good solid evidence, until this person is convicted, I leave the possibility open that he could be mistaken for another person. But in reality, this video is not actually about this particular suspect. It is about the reaction to this suspect. It is about the fact that the mainstream media had been priming you for years to think that this was an example of evil white racism and white privilege, and they did so knowing full well that there was no evidence for this at all whatsoever. And the fact that this guy's father actually was represented by Benjamin Crump because he was alleging racial discrimination against him, and Benjamin Crump is a top Democrat contributor, top Democrat ally, and top race hustler in this country, should not be lost on any of us. Now, that doesn't mean that Brian Cole Jr. is just like his father in that he sees himself as the victim of evil white racism that's hiding under any rock, but in reality, this is indicative of the type of household that actually raised somebody that laid this particular pipe bomb. And again, we should name and shame people like Jake Tapper, who went out of his way to declare this person a white person. Maybe he got a negative image of this guy and he was talking about the sweater rather than his actual skin tone and his ethnic origin. And of course, people like Mehdi Hasan, who do nothing but stir up anti-white sentiment, cover up for Islamic extremism, also deserve to be shamed, because again, for them, it was never about pursuing justice. It was always, and I mean always, about antagonizing the broader American population, castigating the American people as evil white racists. And considering Mehdi Hasan was brought in to the United States of America on like a special talent visa and basically fast-tracked to American citizenship, I find this to be extraordinarily disgusting. Honestly, the reaction to Mehdi Hasan's application for a visa and then application to become an American citizen should have been responded to just like this.
Like, oh. No, we're not doing that. That's embarrassing.
But unfortunately, we don't live in a just world. Unfortunately, we don't live in a sane world. So Mehdi Hasan was permitted entry into this country. And again, he has used all of his time in this nation, all of his time at being an American citizen, in order to antagonize and promote people who terrorize this nation, while simultaneously trying to stir up as much division as possible. So yes, this video in large part is about shaming him and Jake Tapper and everybody in the mainstream media that jumped the gun. And by the way, the FBI under the Biden administration for not being able to find this guy, even though again, the pipe bomber would have been the most serious offender on January 6th, the most serious criminal on that fateful day. Where were you January 6th? I was in a car dealership trying to buy a car, and the guy tried to convince me that frame damage wasn't real damage. And then I looked up on the TV screen on the car dealership, and guess what I saw? I saw our republic getting frame damage, democracy worldwide getting frame damage. Where were you January 6th? Where were you January? Where were you? Now, there are also reports coming out, and I think the source for these reports are in fact Kash Patel over at the FBI, that allegedly the DOJ and the FBI under the Biden administration actually had enough evidence to at least question this individual in his connection with this January 6th pipe bomb planting, but they decided not to do so. And while a lot of people are going to be very quick to jump on that, very quick to believe that, in reality, I want to see more evidence before I end up actually falling into that, because Kash Patel has not really proven himself to me to be a reliable narrator, if I'm being perfectly honest. So I will wait and see if there is additional evidence of what is being talked about as of right now. However, I would not be surprised considering the way that the media went on a full court blitz on this being an evil white racist, and basically everybody in the Democratic Party did the same exact thing for January 6th, and and they would constantly reference the pipe bomber as a thing that has gone unsolved and as a potential evil white racist terrorist that is hiding under every rock that is looking to come out and attack the Democratic Party. Of course, they never mentioned the fact that this guy planted these pipe bombs at the DNC headquarters and, of course, at the Republican headquarters, which, by the way, is not surprising for an extremist because oftentimes, whether you're on the left or on the right, you tend to operate, if you are an extremist, under the premise that both parties have betrayed your narrative. Again, who spends more time attacking left-wing people other than further left communists? Absolutely no one. And again, based on this guy's family history, we would not be surprised to find out that he has embraced some kind of crazy black nationalism, is an ultra far left kind of individual, or that he's someone who believes that the 2020 election was stolen and both parties, Democrats and Republicans, were aiding and abetting in that theft. Again, we don't know as of right now. We have some clues based on family history, but again, people tend to rebel against their parents, and just because you have the close association with Benjamin Crump, who's obviously a left-wing race hustler, that doesn't necessarily mean that this guy didn't believe a bunch of stuff about the 2020 election and that both parties were betraying the evil bad orange man. Again, we don't know. And again, it's absolutely crazy that this guy was able to get away with it for 4 to 5 years. Again, we're a month removed from the 5-year anniversary of these pipe bombs being planted, and but for this update, this has basically been forgotten by the American people. But of course, I want to know what you guys think about all this down in the comments below. What do you think about all the different media outlets that are still trying to say that this guy was a white guy? What do you think about Mehdi Hasan trying to stir up racial hatred back in the day? And what do you think about the idea that maybe the Biden FBI knew who this person was, or at least had enough evidence to pursue this particular person, but didn't do so because it didn't match the narrative? Again, all your thoughts down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the capture of the alleged January 6th pipe bomber. Till next time.